Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another show of Harmonic. Today, I got two very special guests, Niki Nash and company. So, Niki and Tony, can you get with it right now? Do a song for us.
Absolutely. It's called Say Yes. Someone loves me. Someone loves me. Someone loves me. This I know. Teach all the other birds how to say yes. You don't tell the cardinals sin. Tell all the birds you see, doesn't matter where they live. Tell the swallowtail kite, stop by for a bite. Birds on the ground and fence, and everywhere they fly. On the ground and fence, and everywhere they fly. Whoa, 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 whoa. Tell the eastern bluebird and the cattle egret, flycatcher woodpecker, please don't forget. The chuck-will's widow, you can tell her too. Tell all the birds you see, I said I love you. Tell all the birds you see, I said I love you. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sitting on the back porch, told a mockingbird, you're welcome, you're home, you're not a guest. Please and thank you kindly for you to spread my words. Teach all the other how to say yes. Someone loves me. Teach all the other how to say yes. Yes, yes, some loves me, yes. Yes, some loves me, yes. Yes, some loves me, yes. Teach all the other how to say yes. Someone loves me. Someone loves me. Someone loves me. This I know. Teach all the other how to say yes. You don't.
It's all
Tell the
good.
swallowtail kite, stop by for a bite. Birds on the ground and fence, and everywhere they fly. On the ground and fence, and everywhere they fly. Whoa, 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 whoa. Down a yellow road, warbler and quail, eagle and the hawk, they call the red-tail. Painted bunting, Carolina red. You got to migrate, please come back again. If you got to migrate, please come back again. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sitting on the back porch, told a mockingbird, welcome, you're home, you're not a guest. Please and thank you kindly for you to spread my words. Teach all the other how to say yes. Someone loves me. Teach all the other how to say yes. Yes, yes, some loves me, yes. Yes, some loves me, yes. Yes, some loves me, yes. Teach all the other how to say yes. Tell the rufous toey, ruby-throated hummingbird, the round-headed nut, action chrome, I love the words. Round-thresher, duck, titmouse, and blue jay, great blue heron, goldfinch, tell them what I say. Great blue heron, goldfinch, tell them what I say. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sitting on the back porch, told a mockingbird, you're welcome, you're home, you're not a guest. Please and thank you kindly for you to spread my words. Teach all the other how to say yes. Sitting on the back porch, told a mockingbird, you're welcome, you're home, you're not a guest. Please and thank you kindly for you to spread my words. Teach all the other how to say yes. Someone loves me. Teach all the other how to say yes. Yes, yes, some loves me, yes. Yes, some loves me, yes. Yes, some loves me, yes. Teach all the other how to say yes. Someone loves me. Someone loves me. Someone loves me. This I know. Teach all the other how to say yes. Teach all the other how to say yes. all the above, how to say yes, someone loves me.
Someone really does love you out there. Man, Niki, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Tony, God, that was, you know what, that's inspiring.
Thank
When
you.
somebody loves you and you say yes and all that, is that an original tune?
Yes, yes.
Unbelievable.
The majority of the stuff I do are original tunes. I write on the piano. I, write the music and the lyrics, and then Tony is kind enough to learn them on the guitar.
I develop the songs too. I have.
Yeah.
I'm the music director on the current album we're working on, and we're doing tracks. We've been working on it during the pandemic. We really kind of got together and honed our skills,
Right.
and started some stuff then. And we plan on having a full band complement of musicians on the studio
Eventually?
album.
Or
And
do you
during different gigs also, we have a pool of musicians we can pull
Yeah.
from for different events.
So when you say that, how long have you two been as a duo?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years. So you guys started in what, 2021, something like that?
18.
2018.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah,
2019.
What,
Yeah,
the
right
end
at the end of
the end of 18.
December of
that's
18,
Still,
yeah, actually.
That's still
Yeah.
4 years, some months, but it's still, yeah.
So what, I'm going to get into both of you on this, okay? So what made you get into this kind of folk kind of music, and when did you really start singing? Obviously, you've been singing for a long time.
Yes.
You could tell right here. So tell me about it.
I started taking piano lessons when I was 7. And as soon as classical,
Okay.
And as soon as I did my homework, I also started writing songs, words, and music. I started writing poetry when I was 6. So it was a logical, progression. And my teacher realized, oh, okay, and he started teaching classically trained me in voice, music theory and composition, as well as piano. By the time I was 9, I grew up in Chicago. He was getting me gigs
for you.
at different organizations, banquet dinners, like hundreds of adults. And so I was gigging doing that when I was 9. And by the time I was 11, he said there wasn't anything else he could teach me. He wrote a letter for me to take music theory and composition at Northwestern University.
Okay.
And me being the emotional, can I say retard? Is it's not politically correct, but I stood in the line for intellect and creativity. I didn't even get to the line for mechanical abilities and emotional maturity, patience, self-control, discipline, all that, or even fear or caution. It's like, what? I was just curious, but I couldn't deal with, I felt rejected. I was getting beaten up in school by my
that's sad.
peers. I was
different.
different. And
Ain't nothing wrong with being different.
nothing wrong with being different. I embrace it. But so my solace, my refuge was at the piano. But then it's like, if you take him out of the picture, it's like, no, I'm not going to, you can't reject me, I reject you. It's like, who are you hurting? And, but I didn't understand that. So I stopped playing piano. I self-taught myself guitar, started writing songs in my teens on the guitar, did a demo of a song I wrote when I was 13 with a friend of mine. She played guitar, she played lead, and I played rhythm on, it's actually the A side and B side of a 45 that Chess Records picked up on.
Of course,
Again,
Chicago,
I was in Chicago.
2120
yeah.
South Michigan.
But they said they wanted more material of mine that wasn't so controversial. Imagine that, yes. But my stuff was folky or, folk rock or whatever, so I've kind of come full circle to where I was many years ago. I went through different phases.
And genres, different music and people.
And came back to, it was my late husband, Rodney Jolet, that recognized, oh, I know what you're doing. That's like a funky hillbilly. And I was like, oh, okay, because it's got that kind of knee stopping,
You want to stomp your feet, you want to clap your hands, you want to
Right.
hit your legs, the whole 9 yards. I want to ask Tony a question. Tony, when did you start getting involved in music and picking up guitar, or was that your first instrument? Was the
Guitar was my first instrument. Actually, guitar and drums both at the same time. I
Okay.
was in junior high school, and I took them as classes just to fill my schedule. And It was at the end of this session, or this semester for guitar. I had to learn a final. I had to do a song, perform a song in total. And there was a list of songs, a bunch of old standard stuff like Hang Down Your Head, Come Dooley, whatnot, Clementine. But House of the Rising Sun was on there. So I thought, well, that's kind of a cool song, modern song.
Very cool
and,
song, still to this
so
day.
I played it the way I heard it, picked the notes, and when I performed it in class, everyone, there's like 12 girls and the teacher, they all came up, rushed me when I was, how did you do it? Asked me, how did you do that? How did you do that? Because instead of just strumming it, I played it the way I heard it. And by the time I was 15, I actually got in a working top 40 band with some older people that I knew. And so I was gigging before I was old enough to drive. I was out gigging, making money.
Ain't that nice?
That was really a lot of fun.
House of the Rising Sun, such a classic.
It's one of the few cover tunes we do.
Oh, do you really? I would like you guys to, do you sing that?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'd like you to close the show with that.
Right.
You know, I'd like you to close that show. That's one of my favorite songs. It's one of the very first songs that I actually learned when I was a child.
Oh,
it was
cool.
just, you know what I'm saying?
It's one of those
yeah, no, I
and
understand.
it was the animals that stroked me on that.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
so the both of you, you guys got long, and I'm going to ask for your influences. So I'm going to ask her first, ladies first, right? Always.
Always.
Who were some of your folk heroes or?
My earliest influences?
Yes.
Besides
to
besides Mozart, Beethoven, and Tchaikovsky, who are my my favorite classical guys, I would say, you're going to laugh,
No.
Elvis Presley and Liberace.
Liberace's.
When I was a kid, we're talking as a kid.
Yeah. Elvis Presley, of course, and Liberace in my family was a big deal because we're Italian, and I watched Liberace when he was on television after I came to school. You know, after
Yeah,
when
that's what that was what hooked me, was watching him on television. And my folks were from Europe, and they wanted me to have culture, so they took me to Rigoletto, the opera, when I was 5, and I saw Liberace in the audience, and I went up to him during intermission. My parents, oh, you can't bother him, you can't bother him. And by that time, Niki's already there, and he was so nice.
I was gonna
he
say,
he had his whole entourage, of dudes, and bent over, and he's like, I looked like Shirley Temple when I was a little girl, the curls, and and he's like, oh, look at this little girl, and my parents came up, he says, oh, no problem, no problem, I said, I want to be just like you when I grow up, so it was really cool that I got to say that to him and actually,
one of the greatest.
Actually do that. Yeah.
I know a lot of people mocked him, but he was really really, really a great piano player. And you know what? He did a lot of good for people. He did a lot of good things for a lot of people. Elvis Presley, of course. Elvis Presley is the king. You know what I mean? He changed the dynamic. Thank God for Elvis, and because he actually changed the whole dynamic of rock and roll. If you watch the movie that just took place on with a Butler that used him as the actor, Elvis changed things, and the reason why they took him into the service, right?
They took him in the service?
In the Army. You know what the real reason is, don't you?
No.
Is because he was bringing black and white people together.
Oh.
They didn't want that, and so they.
Yeah, they put him out there doing music that black people were doing so they could translate it to white audiences, but he was translating it too well.
He brought people together. So if you ever, that's a great movie to see of Elvis Presley. I'm going to ask you, what was your influences? You said the House of the Rising Sun, and we're going to get back to some other influences.
Yeah, I was going to say Hank Williams Sr.
What about Bob Dylan?
And Bob Dylan was the next one I was going to name.
Okay, so Bob Dylan is another. If you watch some of the old stuff when they're at Newport, right? What a sensational guy. And then, you have Woody Guthrie there and all these great musicians. Who was some of yours? I'm going to get back to you, too, because there's a lot.
I'd say really, I looked at, for guitar playing technique and stuff, really Billy Gibbons and Jeff Beck were probably two of my greatest inspirations for that.
Very good indeed.
Really, that's it.
Really? So Jeff Beck was an influence on you?
Big influence. He had the greatest tone. He just really explored, and I think he took a lot of chances. He wasn't afraid to take risks, and that's what I like about him.
Absolutely. You'll probably really like the video that we did of Jeff. We did a lot of stuff, and that probably will come out in a week or so. So I'm going to ask you this question, both of you, because so we're moved up into the 50s a little bit. Did the Beatles ever influence both of you? I'm going to ask you first. Always the lady first.
Yes, yes, yes.
What was some of the songs that you liked about them? Because they were kind of folksy for a little bit before they changed into their psychedelic.
But I liked that too. I could appreciate. If you ask me what I listen to now, I listen to 50s and 60s rock. That's what I listen to. So that's obviously falls into that era. So it runs the gamut. I loved early Motown stuff. I was going to say Smokey Robinson.
Smokey.
And
Still looks good.
yeah, Smokey still looks good, yes. And he can sing. I mean, when his stuff comes on, I have a lower voice. So I'm harmonizing under him. I'm used to that. But dude singing it, I may or may not need to transpose the key. If a gal's singing it, you've got to transpose the key down.
And what is yours? What was some of your influence besides just Jeff Beck? Groups. What groups did you like?
I think, obviously the Beatles influenced everybody. I still influenced by people to this day. Just amazing some of the things I've seen come out recently, even more recently, like Rodrigo Gabriel.
Yes.
Fantastic, amazing guitar playing there. They're definitely an influence and inspiration. A new artist, Ren, had some really kind of controversial, really emotional music he put together. It's fascinating. It's inspiring even today. Old inspirations, Grateful Dead inspired a lot of people. The Beatles inspired everybody. Creedence Clearwater Revival. My best friend when I was in grade school, his mom's high school boyfriend was John Fogerty.
Oh, that's great.
And so my parents, they were pretty cool. They had a whole collection of all the Hendrix and CCR and Stones and Elvis, the original printing of Elvis stuff from the 50s.
Yes, Stones as well as Beatles, but my favorite group influence besides Beatles and Stones was the Byrds.
Oh yeah.
The Byrds with Roger McGuinn.
Yes, you've got folk and country.
Chris Hillman.
Chris Hillman, yeah.
Roger Clark.
Mike Clark was the drummer. I met Mike Clark. He's in spirit now. He had some issues. You know what? Well, David Crosby. Look, we all have issues. I mean, but I mean,
just try to stay in your house and keep the issue there. And music does that.
He was into I can say it, masochism, and I do not. I respect if someone thinks pain is pleasure, then and you're with someone else who thinks that whatever consenting adults. That's cool, but I am not into masochism or sadism. I do not equate pain with pleasure.
No, because you guys, what you just sang earlier, you talked about love.
Yes.
Yes. What was the title again?
Say yes.
Say yes. I mean, it was that. What other thing could be that's positive, and it's about love and.
Say yes. Someone loves me. Yes.
Right, and it was just how you just started it out. So you guys are working on an album right now?
Yes.
Yes.
And so is that going to be 10 songs, 12 songs, or where are you at?
Okay, 10 songs is the industry standard.
Right.
But I've written 5 albums worth of 50 songs since my last release, which Rodney Jolet, my late husband, produced. That was Sticky Cash. And so we're
Great title.
Niki Nash has Sticky Cash. It was an allusion to my being an entertainer in the logging camps in the 1800s. Old-timey kind of, old brother, we're out there kind of stuff.
Right.
And so it was an allusion to, there was an outhouse because I got done performing, so somebody had written graffiti in the outhouse, Niki Nash has Sticky Cash. And that was the joke, and that's where the title of that came from.
I love it, and that's where it came from. So you were in an outhouse. Man, what year was that? Was it in the 1800s or what? Man, or early 1900s? I mean,
yeah,
20th century?
That was
That's a
joke.
great.
That's the joke
that
behind
would,
that.
you know what? I might even use that with Blue Voodoo. Sticky cash, man. We'll give you a little.
Yeah, it
credit on
implies that she went to pay you, but the cash stuck to her, so you didn't get it. It was a total joke.
So when you guys are playing as a duo, right, and you're going to probably have players around you to make it more orchestrated.
Right.
You both do the arrangements, or is it just Tony that does?
Well,
the
he does his guitar parts, but I do the arrangement of what parts the song is, what order.
Yeah, she puts the basic, the rough
Edges.
thing together there, and then kind of some nuances come out of it, and there's some melodic things that I end up picking up on out of it. Like one of the interesting things with "Say Yes," it's an E, but I kept hearing the G in the melody, so it's a suspended, really, But so I kind of worked those kind of nuances when I spend some time developing the song.
Because guitar inversions are different than what you do on the
yes.
piano.
Absolutely. I was just
And
listening.
answering your question, so we got 14 songs on the album because 10 is the theme Southern Paradise. It's all about say yeses, all the birds. Every bird I named was, Rodney and I lived in a double wide on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, north central Florida. And I wrote that. He said that it would immerse me in the sweetness, that no matter where I went, the sweetness would still be in the music. And so it's
Because you
total.
had Sticky Cash.
There you go.
Sticky Cash was not so, yeah. That was post Sticky Cash, yes. And so the other four tracks are one each from the other 4 albums.
Interesting.
And I'm still writing, so.
So I'm going to ask you something else then, and I'm going to go to you again. Who are some of the women singers that influenced you in your lifetime? So who are some of the women that actually, you know what I'm saying?
Patsy Cline and Janis Joplin and Luann Barton.
You named some 3 tops. You named Janis, of course. Patsy Cline, come on, man.
Yeah, and Luann Barton out of Austin, Texas.
Right.
I got to see Luann Barton and Janis play, got to meet Luann, did not get to
Meet
Patsy
Janis?
was before my time, did not get to meet Janis.
Patsy Cline, just
And the
fabulous.
living female singer-songwriter today that I just adore is Dolly Parton.
I was just going to say, I just seen some things about Dolly, and Dolly's
Did you
going to
see her
do
Christmas special?
Oh, of course.
Oh my God!
But she's also going to do a rock album, her first rock, because
Yes.
she said that she is a rock star. And she was always been a rock star to me. But but now she's doing, and she's going to have like Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, all these different, Joe Perry, all these different great artists are going to surround her. So give me 3 of your. I know you talked about Beck. What other guitar players have influenced you?
More recently, actually, I've been influenced a lot by John Lee Hooker and Howlin' Wolf and the old blues stuff. I was working in a blues trio with a guy named Paul Wood about 10, 15 years ago. He did 3 albums with John Lee Hooker back in the late 60s, early 70s. And gigging with him for a couple years was a great influence on me. It really learned something that you can't get out of a book. And
you know what? A lot of that isn't out of a book. That you have to have the feeling of it. I got to meet one of the great blues artists in this area, L.C. Good Rockin' Robinson. They were encyclopedias. Their hardships. John Lee Hooker, I got to meet him when I was a kid. I wish that when I met him, I wish I would have said, hey, John, man, do you guys need a roadie? Or whatever, because he was. He's just great.
He was a great guy. I did
Boogie
meet him.
Chitlin, all of that. I liked some of the stuff that he did.
He really was. Well, he was pioneering. I mean, he was the first black man to have a #1 hit in the United States. And
Wow.
and he was telling Paul. I met John Lee.
I know Paul. I've met Paul.
Yeah.
We crossed paths.
Probably have, yeah. So anyway, Paul's a great guy. He's fantastic, good guy to hang with, and great musician and stuff. But
he played a lot in Berkeley.
he did play a lot in Berkeley. So I met John Lee once when he was with Paul. He was older, much older. In fact, he didn't even drive. I pulled up to a friend of mine's house. This was back in the early '90s, and there's a gold Jaguar in the driveway. It says The Hook on the license plate, and so I go up there and there's this little black man and this big-haired blonde, and she's the one driving him around in the Jaguar, right? And so they're passing around a J, which is now legal.
Of course.
And so John Lee hands me this. He says, "Oh, I'm John." He hands me this joint, and I'm smoking this joint and passing around. He says, "You must smoke. You must play the blues." I said, "Well, yeah. Why is that?" "Well, because you smoked a hooch." So that's my meeting of John Lee Hooker.
Oh, hey, I've seen him real up and close with him at when Freddie used to own the Keystone. I played there many times.
Freddie Roulette, yeah.
Yeah, and no, not Freddie Roulette.
Not
Freddie
Roulette. Herrera, yeah.
Great family. When you actually played in Keystone, you've got to see everybody. I mean, from Bonnie Raitt to Sleep at the Wheel. Joe Perry. You just keep on going. Eddie Money, Peak. Just all these great bands that played there. Got to play open up with Eddie, played numerous gigs with Eddie. But that was a time, what we were talking earlier before we came on the air. Today it seems like it's not like it used to be when people would actually get together and play like you play in a park. You know what I mean? There was great organizers, I hope my band gets to play a show with you guys, and because it was always diverse. Bill Graham was that. Bill Correa was also that. You'd have like Miles Davis, Pharoah Sanders, and then you have Jay Giles.
Oh yeah.
Right? And you have all this diversity of music. So on moving forward, the both of you guys are obviously the ones that you guys are the rock in your group.
We are. Yeah, we are it.
And it's called, what is it called? It's called Niki Nash and Company?
I just bill it as Niki Nash, and like the flyer I just did, we're going to be doing a gig with 3 other songwriters at the Lost Church in August, and I just do Niki Nash with Tony Almeida. So I just do our names.
Same billing.
Yeah, kind of that's the approach. She's the star, and I'm just backing her up. Yes.
I'm the singer-songwriter. He's the accompanist.
I take care of the music direction. We bring in other musicians. I have parts worked out for them, charts if necessary. Hopefully not too necessary.
So what you were talking earlier that you do all your music in F sharp or G flat?
Oh no, not all of it, but I like. When I write, I like the black keys as well as the white keys.
Right.
And I'd say half the songs are flat keys, so we do the guitar half step tuned down, and the other half are regular keys. But I write my voices between an alto and a tenor, so I like to be between the G flat and D flat of, middle C. In other words, the lower.
You're right in there, right inside.
I'm right in there.
Yeah, you're in the
so
pocket.
G flat, A flat, B flat, or B, or A. It depends on if it's a regular key or flat key, but those are my keys.
Your main coordinates. And yourself, when you have to tone down, does that bother you at all, or is it fine to be able to do that?
No, it's no problem at all. In fact, I kind of enjoy it. It gives me some more variety, some other things I can explore, and even explore some other tunings too, which we haven't really gotten into in the situation of the duet. But in the studio, I have some alternate tunings I'll be using for some of the parts too. So,
So when so you guys will probably be playing again, in about a couple months, 2 months?
We're going to be playing
next
El
week or whatever.
Lopo. It's a Spanish restaurant bar in San Francisco a week from
For
Sunday.
you. Little small clubs, or little.
They have an
places.
outdoor.
They're fun. A lot of
They
fun.
block
it
off
is.
the
Put a little
they have
bucket
an
out there for
an
little
outdoor
people.
thing, and it's fun. And they're like, if Spain would have still been ruling California, is their theme. So it's totally cool. It's totally cool. It's a Spanish couple. It's totally, and I have a daughter-in-law from Spain, so to me it's like totally cool.
Oh, that is totally cool.
And what do you call it? And it's El Lopo, which is the wolf, because I'm a vegan. I'm an animal lover. And so that's, anything having to do with animals. We're also playing Rock Ridge Rock and Stroll in Oakland on June 10th. And we'll be playing the Outer Sunset Farmers Market in San Francisco on June 18th and 25th. And we'll be playing the Lost Church on August 27th. And I know there's other stuff
Oh, of course.
in between there, but
of course.
that's as much as I
That's good.
memorized.
Check the website.
That's good. So
Check the website.
We'll check your website. So you know what? As time keeps fleeing, I'm going to have them do a song that I actually requested from them after they said, after Tony said that he liked this song, and I love this song myself, and they actually do it. So can you give us a version of House of the Rising Sun? And that would be really nice if you could close that, and then you could keep on playing, and I'll tell you, and I'll start signing off. But please do that.
Okay.
So this is Niki Nash and company, Tony Almeida, singing House on the Rising Sun.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor girl, and God, I know I'm one. My mother was a tailor now. She sewed my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man way down in New Orleans. The only thing a gambler needs is a suit and his drug, and the only time that he's satisfied is when he's adrift. So mothers, tell your children now not to do what I have done, not to spend your life in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun. I got one foot on the platform now, and the other on the train. I'm going back to New Orleans to wear that one and chain. There is a house in New Orleans.
I like to thank
They call
Niki Nash and
Rising
Tony Almeida for coming on our
Sun.
show.
And it's been
Outstanding. Thank you both for making this such a great show. This is Gregory Correa from Harmonics, and I'm going to sign off with them. Peace and love.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely excellent. Thank you both
Thank
for
you.
coming on our show, Harmonics. See you again.
Thank
Peace and love.
Thank you.